Hi everyone and welcome to my channel Hisame Artwork, and in this video I'm going to go over how to spot the red flag client. So I'm doing this video because I've been around in the industry for about 10 years, but I have friend artists that are younger than me or just entering the industry, and I see them making mistakes that are really harming them. So I just wanted to say that this is not legal advice, but I hope to help you avoid these situations with this slideshow. And this video contains inappropriate and triggering languages. I put these quotes from clients with the purpose of showing people the type of abuse that artists can be exposed to by clients. So I've kind of summed it down to kind of 5 flags to look out for. So they insult your peers and act like a victim. They do not offer any contract or system of protection. They expect proof of skill through free samples. They have high expectation and barely any budget. And last but not least, they are undecided or inarticulate. And I think this needs a bit more of explanation because various artists can differ on this topic. And if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions or suggestions as well, please write them down. So the first one, they insult your peers and act like a victim. I'm not gonna read what is written here because I don't want to be flagged by YouTube. Also, there are bots that rip my videos. I've seen them. What I'm speaking to you now transformed into text and made an article on some dodgy websites. So if those bots can do this, I'm pretty sure that YouTube can see or analyze what I'm saying, and I don't want to be flagged just because I'm repeating something very horrible that other people have said. And I plan to make a guide to finding a good artist. I have good clients, people awesome that I work with them, and they have their stories of how hard it was to reach me or other good artists, and so they're unprofessional people on both sides. So I'm hoping that the good ones, find each other, because we do want to work, we do want to find fulfillment, we do want to do great things and enjoy our work in our life. So hopefully with these videos it can better explain how to find each other. So what happens is that some bad clients will try and emotionally manipulate artists into getting stuff. I've had previous videos where I explained like different types of artists: the melancholic, the spontaneous, the perfectionist, and the nice artist. And I think that the nice artist group is the most susceptible to this kind of manipulation. So this is a big red flag. Keep an eye out if they insult other artists, talk trash about them. If they behave like they're the most victimist victim that ever victimed, that is a red flag. Be careful what you might be getting yourself into. The second red flag, and arguably one of the most important ones you gotta watch out for because contracts are important, is if the client doesn't offer any contract and or refuses one if you ask for it. There are websites like Fiverr where they don't share personal information. The website has the personal information of both the client and the artist and won't share it unless there's like a legal continuation of the issue. And they will hold the money until everything is done according to both sides. But the old-fashioned way is to make a contract directly between the contractor, the client, and the person that is offering the services. And those are pretty important. And another thing that I want you guys to watch out for is the legislation that is in your country. For example, I am in the European Union. The European Union has trade agreements and legislation things that are way beyond my scope of understanding with the US, the Commonwealth. So if I have a contract with someone from the US, let's say, and I do the work and they do not want to pay, I can seek them out in court and hopefully eventually get my money if I am in the right. And if a contractor is outside of the European Union, it gets a bit more tricky to pursue them legally. Obviously, there are a lot of European companies that deal with companies from outside these unions and they still manage just fine. But for me, I do not afford the legal expenses for that and also other things. Now, the European legislation is a bit more better than the US according to most opinions, in the sense that you generally don't get your case accepted in Europe unless it is something that is okay or reasonable. In the US you can sue anyone for anything at any time. They're famous for their slapstick lawsuits, something lawsuits. So have that in mind with the person that you're working for. So I'm giving you here an example. Someone that contacted me on Nexus Mods, where I post my mods for my Stardew Valley hobby, and they wanted me to work 40 hours a week for several months for only $400, and they never offered any contract. And I had the suspicion that they weren't from the European Union because their name was in Cyrillics. Now, there are countries in the European Union that have Cyrillic names, but always a good way to find out where somebody is to invoke the time zone question and ask them if they were from Bulgaria, and they said no, they're from Russia. And one way you can get out of a deal that you do not find favorable or safe, or because there's no contract offer, then even if there was a contract offer, it is outside of your country, and then pursuing someone legally outside of your country is tricky, let alone outside of the union. So I said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. It's my busiest month. I have prior contracts with older customers, but I wish you good luck on your projects. They were asking me this in December, so it was true what I was saying. Hope you find the artist you need. And they just disappeared after that. No thank you, no hope you have a happy holiday or anything like that. And now, to me personally, the lack of courtesy is a red flag. You might not think that, but when somebody isn't polite or isn't nice, it lowers my appreciation of them. So if you are a client, I do recommend that you offer the courtesy that is generally expected to seem more professional and trustworthy. So yeah, always make sure that you work with a contract, or you work through a company, for example like Fiverr, that offers some protection against bad clients. Now, the third and one of the most common red flags is that they want free samples. And you can pause here the video to see what the person is asking for. Now, I have a portfolio at this point in my life, and people can check it out, and I do not work for free. This is often a scam, and it's so prevailing that young artists think is okay, and they get told by older people that, oh yeah, this is the industry standard, so you have to comply to the industry standard. Whenever I sent test art for an employer, because they would ask, a test sample, and then we'll decide if you're good enough for us. I would always watermark it. And for you as well, always watermark yourself. Even if your art is terrible and nobody's gonna steal it, it's a good practice reflex to always watermark everything, because maybe at some point, after all your hard work, your art might actually be good and worth something, so don't forget to watermark it then. And also, what can happen, and in my country I've mostly seen it happen to journalists, especially when they were entering the industry. So, crappy newspapers would prey on new little journalists and parasitize them by sending them in the field to make this free sample test and to decide whether they would hire them or not. And what they would do is that young journalists would put in the effort, the legwork on their own money, to go travel, interview, write the article on their own computer, personal computer, and then send it to this newspaper. And then they would say, oh, you know what, you're not good enough, we're not hiring you. Sometimes they wouldn't even say anything. They would see like 2 weeks later, that newspaper had published their article and not given them any credit. They would find it under somebody else's name or just no name whatsoever. And pursuing that legally is complicated. And so most young journalists, they didn't do that because they were young and they didn't know and they didn't have the money, and their parents weren't very supportive of their life choice as a career. So this was an issue that a lot of newspapers were taking advantage and getting free articles that way. So my recommendation is never work for free, and if you really have to because you're young and you don't have much to show for, always watermark everything as much as you can. So the fourth red flag, and a fairly common one, is high expectations and very low budget. Here I have an example. Looking for a new logo for our business, would like to have changes until we're happy, and wanting professional looking design. And they want this for $14 and in 3 days. And I don't know how it is in every country, but $14 isn't much where I am, and professionalism costs more than the minimum wage, not below. So if you're expecting professionalism and changes until you're happy, you better pork up some more money than that. And again, be careful not to get taken advantage. Maybe $14 is more where you are, but considering you probably have to, because this offer is an online offer for Fiverr. So considering the fact that you have to pay electricity and your computer and your internet and everything like that, I don't know what the prices are everywhere, but I know the computers aren't cheap. I know the electricity isn't particularly cheap either. So be careful. I understand that some people can be in a very desperate situation, but wanting changes until they're happy is probably not going to be a great client if this is what they start off with. That's just my 2 cents on it, and I wish you good luck and to be careful. And the second example is just insane. 4,000 unique coloring pages, 4,000 illustrations they want, these people, and they require that the digital rights be given to them. And so they want 4,000 illustrations done in 2 days for $12, and they will not give you a cut of the following revenue. They want all that money for themselves, and they're not offering any money aside from those $12 for the copyright. Because, for example, on Fiverr, where I got this offer, you can ask separately for copyright. For example, if somebody is planning on selling your art and making a lot of money from it, you can ask for a cut of that money. And always be careful when you apply to these offers, because you have to read to make sure. And I saw this person posting this several times, so it wasn't like they forgot a couple of zeros on the days and on the dollars. This person seemed to be serious about $12 for 4,000 illustrations. Again, be careful, read the offer twice, make sure you don't accept something that is inappropriate or offensive or greedy or something like that. Because if you accept to do something that is absurd, then you can be held legally bound to do that because you said you would. So always be careful what you sign, what you apply to, and things like that, so you don't get yourself in a bad situation. And the last red flag I want to discuss with you guys is the undecided or inarticulate client. So some artists say that these clients are a nightmare. My opinion is that they are not for beginners. And I will take the undecided over the inarticulate, because if I am not able to understand what the person wants or says or complains, I cannot help them. I do not have telepathic abilities. I know some artists that are very good at intuiting what the client wants. They seem to be like they have telepathic abilities. But I don't, and I'm not good at it. So I would rather have the undecided client. And here I have an example from one of my clients. And he's like, hey dude, how much for 5 emotes? However, right now I have no idea what I want. But somehow I'm supposed to give them a price offer. And I did. I kind of went for the higher price to make sure it would cover any other things that they might decide later on, and to make sure I cover everything, I gave them like the higher price. They were fine with it. I worked until they were happy, because I had worked with that client before, and even if they are undecided, I am able to communicate with them properly, and by the end we will come to a solution, an agreement, and everybody's happy and I get paid and they get the art that they wanted. And I have no problem deciding for my client. I'm a pretty decisive person. Again, I remind you about the video with the 4 types of artists that I kind of put me and my friends in little boxes to kind of better explain the reactions, behaviors, and things like that. I am in the perfectionist box, so I have no problem telling people what to do and deciding for them if they want. Nice artists might not want to be pushy, might not want to be so blunt and direct. It depends on your personality. Like I said, have no problem being straightforward with my clients. And I look for clients that appreciate what I can offer them. So you can always pause the video, check out the other text to kind of give your 2 cents on it. I would love to hear your opinions and how you deal with these things and how it's for you. I think the more we share this information, the better it is for people to kind of learn and be more understanding or be better at communicating. So when flags go unnoticed and deals go bad, here are some examples of what you can hear from a client. My opinion is that if you made the mistake of not having any contracts, not working with a third party to ensure the safe transaction, report, block, and learn for next time. Not sure what else I can impart with you guys. If you have any good ideas, please let me know. It is pretty foul language, so again, warning. The last little quotation there is from a friend. All of these are from other people. Unfortunately, I've never had this situation, because again, like I said, I'm good at smelling bad clients. um, they said, last chance, are you gonna pay or no? And obviously, if the person can avoid paying, they're gonna not pay. So they've answered very rudely, and they in the end blocked and reported that person. So that's pretty much all you can do at that point. Again, please don't get yourself in these situations. Always try and have some kind of legal protection. Even if it's not great in your country, it's better than nothing. Use those systems if you can. So, in conclusion, my opinion is that no clients are better than horrible non-paying clients. You are spending not only your time that you could have done something else, like spend it with your family or doing some other kind of job or working on personal projects, anything else. And you're not only wasting time and energy on somebody else, you're wasting electricity, computer parts. If you're doing it traditionally, you're wasting material on horrible clients that do not pay. So I would err more on the safe side, and just, hopefully they will learn, they will not predate on anybody else. If good practices become more of the standard than the bad ones, then they will have to adapt and give us better options. The horrible clients will often say, oh, I can replace you with somebody else. I'm like, okay, go torment somebody else. Good luck with that. Sooner or later, you're gonna run out of people to scam. And that's kind of the situation. Like, for example, I have worked for horrible people, but at least I had a contract and I got paid. And they would verbally abuse and harass, they would yell at us. They made several of my coworkers cry. I'm more thick-skinned, so that wasn't an issue for me, but it wasn't the best work environment to be in, but at least I had a contract. So again, always please try and make sure that you have a contract. And there have been situations where the contract was fake or not fully what was submitted to the government. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but always try and make sure that it is what you've been given. There are ways to check this depending on your country. I also have horror stories from friends that didn't work in the same industry, would work in industries that were even worse than mine, where their contracts were completely fake, not just fudged. And there are government websites for my country, and you can put your ID there to see if you are indeed hired and your taxes and your pension are being paid to the government. So you can check your employer if they actually filed the paperwork. Because just because you signed a piece of paper doesn't mean that it has been shipped and recognized and things like that. But at least you do have something that you can then later pursue in court and hopefully win if you are in the right. So yeah, be careful. Good luck. Look over and over the paperwork. Make sure. Pursue all the legal avenues that you can to assess your situation and pursue legal means if necessary. Hopefully you'll never get into these horrible situations that I or friends of mine have been in. So yeah, thank you for watching. You can find me on various social medias. I am Hisame at work, Hisame at work on all social media platforms. And I'm close to getting to 1,000 subscribers. If you want to help me reach faster, then you can subscribe. I will do an art giveaway when I reach that milestone. I often do art giveaways whenever I reach a milestone on social media. And for those of you that have been around for a long time, Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for your ideas for videos, and see you in the next one. Bye bye everyone.